Hey guys, so I finished The Leftovers yesterday, September 12th, and I just wanted to give you guys a review on the book. I did already pick my other book I'm going to start reading, and I'm trying to up how many books I read a month, even with the visual disability. I'm going to try to do 2 books a month, finish a book in 2 weeks. So let's see if that will happen. But first of all, I'm just go ahead and give you the score that I gave it on Goodreads. I gave it 3 out of 5. This book was I don't know, I didn't like it, but some parts got me hooked. It was meh to me. I didn't really connect with any of the characters. Let me just go ahead and give you a quick synopsis of what this novel's about. It's about maybe the rapture, and if you're not sure what the rapture is, Christian religion believes that God will just randomly take people off the earth and leave the wicked behind, and the wicked to scramble and figure out what's going on. But with this particular disappearance, all walks of life disappeared. Some children were left behind, adulterers, cheaters. So people that were taken weren't all good people, and then people left behind, like clergymen. Not saying that they were good many people just because of their title, but it was just there was no real rhyme or reason that really messed people in the head trying to rationalize it. But it circles around the town of Mapleton. It sounds like a small town in the Midwest. Everybody knows everybody. And the main characters is Kevin, the mayor of the small town. He had a series of liquor stores, sold them off. So he was wealthy, he was well to do. So he just needed something to do. The people that disappeared in his life, ironically, no one. His wife, Jill, joined a cult because of the guilt that she felt. His daughter, no, I think his daughter's name is Jill. I forget what the wife's name is. But his daughter Jill, high school student, trying to graduate, doesn't know what to do with her life, having an identity crisis. And then her best friend Amy moves in the house with her. So that's one core group. Another group is Nora. On the opposite side of the spectrum, she lost her whole family, her husband, her 2 kids, her daughter and her son, and she got left behind. And she's just grieving and having a really hard time accepting that she was left, and also feeling a little bit of guilt towards it. And you learn that she was just overwhelmed as a mother. She was doing everything, and her kids and her husband got taken during dinner while they were at the dining room table, and she was in the kitchen doing something. And when she went inside the dining room, she didn't have the typical reaction. She just kept eating and doing whatever she was doing. She appreciated the moment of peace, and she carries that guilt around her, and trying to build a routine of things, trying to remember her kids. She found out her husband was cheating on her with one of his students, from a clergyman that went totally off to the left field of trying to prove, why am I still here? I served my life to God. I should have been taken. Why wasn't I taken? So the way he's dealing with it is researching everybody in the Mapleton town of the people that were taken with all their sins, kind of trying to prove weirdly that the people that were taken wasn't good enough. Dude, you're not God. But anyway, so he's the one that exposed her, which she felt heartbreaking, because in the beginning he was the one that was helping her go through the grief. He was counseling her, and then in the end he kind of he just turned on her and exposed her husband, what his bad dealings was. Then Kevin's son, Tom, was in college, was falling apart. He got into another cult called Guilty Remnant. And these individuals, it's not really a religion. They just have strict rules of punishment that they try to do. They all smoke cigarettes. Don't know. They don't eat healthy. It's they kind of want to die, but they're waiting for their turn to be taken, and they feel guilty, and they feel their purpose is to, with every tragedy, and we know about tragedies, we have a lot in the U.S., but with a lot of tragedies in the beginning, it's like what everybody is talking about, but then as time goes on, people just return to their normal life. I mean, we do it every day. People have to go to work. People, they just like, okay, whatever. But the guilty remnant, their main focus is to make sure people do not forget and make them still uncomfortable. They like follow people around town. They took a vow of silence. They're not allowed to talk. They just stare at people, make them very uncomfortable, just as a reminder of, hey, remember when this happened? So anyway, so Kevin's wife joined that cult, right? And she gave her husband divorce papers and whatever. And let me try to think. So Tom, the son, he's part of this cult called the Hugging Cult or whatever. And the cult leader, I forget his first name, but his last name is Gilchrist. He has this unique power that if he hugs someone, they feel a zot, like a sharp shock of their pain leaving their body and going to his. So he lost his son. So that was his mission. He initially had good intentions, but as he grew in popularity and power, it went to his head, and he became a predator of young women. He was saying that he was involved in many young Asian women, and he made this prophecy of all the women that he was with. If they gave birth to a son, then the son is the chosen one, basically just replacing the son that he lost, right? So Tom was within that cult, and Tom realized that the cult leader was full of BS, and he lost passion of following him, but he was kind of like a lost soul. He didn't know what else to do, and he met one of Mr. Gilchrist's wives, Christine, that, but Lord and behold, was pregnant. So she was just very, very, very high horse that I'm the chosen one. I'm going to have a son, because it's written, it's ordained. And the cult leader got arrested, and towards the end of the novel, he basically confessed that he was a predator. He preyed on young women, and his only wife was his original wife of his original son. And his whole entire empire collapsed. People that were huge followers of his basically just fell apart because Christine and Tom was staying with a rich family, and they were basically doting on her while she was pregnant, giving her everything she needed because they thought basically she was giving birth to their next coming, I don't know, but she gave birth to a girl, and she was totally disconnected. And at the end, she abandoned the baby and Tom because the people that were worshiping her basically and keeping in the house kicked them out and gave them $1,000. Like, hey, when we get back, leave. We don't need you anymore. This is no longer happening. So, and Nora's going through her grief. The guilty remnant, some reason, it turns to like a mystery. For some reason, the guilty remnant, they have people in pairs. And Kevin's wife that joined this cult, she becomes very good, close friends with Meg, who's young. And for some reason, the guilty remnant has these pairs. They choose one, and they have them shoot the other person to hit as a murder. And then they take the other person that they told them to do it away. So in the beginning, these murders were happening, and nobody understood why. Kind of find out they're doing it themselves. To do what? I don't know. It doesn't really give you an explanation. But unfortunately, Meg and his wife, I think her name is Linda, are very, very close. They break the silence vault. They're talking to each other. They're not in a lesbian relationship, but it's almost there. But for some reason, the leader called him to the office, gave him instructions, and at the end of the novel, Linda couldn't shoot Megan, but Megan took the gun and shot herself, basically. And Linda took the gun from her and went to the getaway car. And that's how it ended. It was like so weird. Amy and Kevin. Amy, she's in school because she ends up dropping out. And so then we get to Kevin. I mean, he's a mayor, deals with small stuff. He's trying to figure out how to keep his broken family together because his wife Linda has left, gave him divorce papers. And the guilty remnant, they are kind of pushing a divorce on her because they realize with a divorce they have to divide assets, and that's how they get money. They get money from their followers, from what they own. So if you have a car, you donate it to the organization. So basically she finally made a decision, but she understands, like, man, I hurt my family by choosing this lifestyle because I cut all contact. But now I'm taking away their home and making them sell everything and divide it up so I can get my half to give to this organization. So she understands what she's doing and the continued trauma she's giving to her daughter. She doesn't care. She does it anyway. But the husband holds on to it because he also knows what it means. So he hasn't completed the paperwork, and it kind of is left at that. When Linda does her little mystery deed to her friend Meg, she just goes off to Never Never Land. So we don't know exactly if he's going to sign the papers or what. But anyway, so he got involved with Nora, the other woman that lost all her whole entire family. And they tried to make it work, but Nora's grief is too high. Towards the end of the novel, she decides that she's going to start a new life, that she's going to have a new name, go to a different city, and just start over where nobody knows her. So she dyed her hair blonde, and she kind of realized the logistics are kind of hard just to disappear. She has a house. She can't sell it because she has to use her legal name. So she decides to rent it. So she'll still have ties. She still have to use her. So it's kind of messy, but she's like, I'm going to do it anyway. And she wrote a letter to Kevin because eventually it broke up because she had so many walls up and she could not connect to him emotionally, nor did she want to at the time. Let's get back to Kevin's son. So remember I told you the Christine, the little Asian girl that gave birth to a little girl, totally disconnected from the baby, didn't feed her, change her, hold her, anything. Scott saw this coming. They went to a rest stop. He went to the restroom. He came back. The baby was in the car seat, and she was gone. They couldn't find her. They were hiding under the guise of barefoot people, and they're kind of like hippies, sex, love, and drugs, right? But they have to wear this big bullseye on their forehead of colors that they choose to wear, and they're barefoot. So he feels that she kind of, because they had that disguise to blend in, because their cult leader is in jail, and obviously she's underage, and they're looking for all these victims, so they're trying to hide. So she's gone. He thinks that she went with these barefoot people cult, and he has the baby. So he's going home, right? He's going back to Milpiton, and on his way home, he noticed that nothing's changed. Everything's the same, and that triggers him. What does this man do? He goes to his dad's house. He drops the baby off, gives her her bottle, last bottle from him, and changes her diaper. Put her in her carrier with a note. Please take care. Basically, he just abandoned the baby. Please take care of me. He dumped it on his dad and his sister, Jill. And poor Jill, she's going through it. She's just like a teenager, and at the end, her friendship with Amy is strained. In the beginning, it was fun to be with someone that wasn't like her because she was very studious, a straight-A student, very straight and to the point. But when her mother left, she veered off. She cut off her hair. She was just trying to find herself. She let her school go down. Unfortunately, she found one of the guilty remnant victims, not her mom's victim, but someone else that was doing this before them. She found a dead body that traumatized her. She still held hope that her mom still loved her, even gave her a Christmas gift. The mom got the Christmas gift, didn't even use it, and threw it down a drain because she didn't want any emotional connection to her old life. Just very, very callous and disturbing. But anyway, you know what? She kind of picks herself up and she goes back to school. Amy decides, her friend, who's also in school, decides to drop out and just work. Amy had a traumatic lifestyle and the abusive stepfather, so forth and so on. So she escaped to Jill's house, and they were very, very close in the beginning, just doing drugs and just disassociating, and that she was fine with that life because that's how she was handling her trauma. But towards the end, she wanted to go back to herself. So she started studying. She started thinking about what I want to do. Am I going to go to college? She's picking up the pieces of her life, right? And she almost got hooked towards the end to visit her old teacher that went to the guilty remnant and basically recruiting her. And on her way there, luckily, some of her friends from it's like, hey, do you need a ride? They pulled up to her, and it kind of shocked her out of what she was about to do. And she's like, yeah. So she ghosted the guilty remnant, and she went on with her life. But anyway, so Nora, the woman that lost her whole family and was changing her life and trying to start over, she did write letters to Kevin, or a letter to Kevin, saying sorry, right? So she was on his way. Instead of dropping off at the post office, she went to his house, and she sees the bundle of joy on his porch. And something changed in her when she saw the baby. Doesn't really explain, we just know something changed. And Kevin and Amy got really, really close, uncomfortably close. He had a almost oopsie because he was getting very, very emotionally attached to this young lady, and obviously she's the same age as his daughter. Keep that in mind. So that's kind of gross. They had a moment where they were just talking, confiding each other. He was giving him emotional support that he wasn't getting anywhere else. And they had a moment where, they hugged, and it was an intimate moment. And if either one of them made a bad move, it would have crossed that line. So he escaped to his little buddies and to a baseball game because it's really big in Mapleton, just to get separation, for him to clear his head. It's like, okay, I have to talk to her. I gotta say this was a mistake. We gotta keep our boundaries. But before he even did that, Amy, as we women do, was left. She moved out. She moved out to a friend, another friend's house, and her and Jill had a small exchange and said, yeah, Amy's like, it's time for me to go, but thank you so much. And they both realized their friendship was over, and she left. And then when Kevin found out by his daughter from a text message that she left, he felt sadness, but he also felt relief that she did the hard work and he didn't have to, of course. But anyway, when he got home, surprisingly, Nora's there on the porch with the baby, and he didn't recognize her because she changed her hair color and stuff. But as she walked closer, because it was evening, she's like, guess what I found? And it ends. This was like so ordinary. It has so many like story plots. Like they talked about 3 cults, but very surface level. I mean, he could have picked one cult and filled the pages of this book to give us more details. The people we follow, I guess they were showing their own personal grief, but it was so ordinary. It was so vanilla. No spies, no nothing. I could tell this was a town full of unseasoned. But, or even his son, everything was kind of like, bad decisions, don't care, no consequences. Even though a huge consequence happened in the beginning, the rapture, and this may be your second chance to do right, but people just don't take advantage of that. Cults rise, of course, because when something illogical happens, people try to make logic out of anything, and unfortunately they're willing to follow anyone. But again, it's not in a healthy way. So I gave it a 3 stars, and I'm not putting in the red pile to read it again in the future. I'm putting in the giveaway pile. It wasn't for me.